Hi, boys and girls. So if you remember class today, we talked about the structure and the function of an ecosystem. And this is the same PowerPoint we went over, but I just wanted to have this video for you as a guide and as a resource to use when you're doing research with your group on whatever ecosystems you decided to research and present to the class. So this is the same video, and I just wanted to go over it with you and make sure you fully understood the topic. All right, so what is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is all living and non-living organisms that are in an area. And we talk about how they interact with one another. So living plants, animals, protistas, fungi, bacteria, and then non-living things like water and soil and air and minerals and the light from the sun. And all of these work together to create different ecosystems. And based on the climate and the terrain of these areas, all of these things, living and non-living aspects, will interact. So if you remember, this is the first image I showed you in class today, and it's just a cartoon drawing of a pond ecosystem. And we talked about what factors, if through this picture, what can we tell about this ecosystem? And so a lot of you talked about this frog right here, and how this frog probably eats the fly. And the fly and the frog, in turn, they affect one another. The population of the flies is affected by this frog because the frogs eat them. And in turn, they nourish the frog. Also, the tadpoles, which are the babies of the frog, are the reproduction of frogs. And these fish over here are probably going to eat those tadpoles, which could affect the population of the frogs. Now, the water also affects these tadpoles and the fish, and so there we go. And so any pollution or contamination to this water will affect the tadpoles and the fish. Now we also see surrounding greenery. We see bushes, we see plants, water weeds, logs, and snails right here. And the snail probably eats any small bugs that are on the ground, but also this plant life, just like the fly would eat the plant life. And we know that the sun produces energy and it allows plants to grow. And those plants in turn produce oxygen. And all of these organisms need oxygen to survive. And also the water absorbs oxygen, which allows the fish and the tadpole to survive. So we can see through this one image just how much all these living and non-living factors are affecting this ecosystem. Okay, so what is the structure of an ecosystem? The structure of an ecosystem is the description of the organisms and any other physical features present in the environment, including weather, nutrients, and the particular habitat surrounding the area. And it provides us with a range of information: climate, soil, water, animals, bacteria, fungi, and how they all live cohesively in that ecosystem. And as we talked about in class, two things that you really needed to understand were that all ecosystems have abiotic and biotic factors. So what are abiotic and biotic factors? So abiotic factors are parts of an ecosystem that include inorganic and organic elements that are non-living. So for this, we're talking about soil, water, calcium carbonates, air, and other minerals and organic compounds in the environment. The sun, for example, is an abiotic factor. And we know, if we go back from our picture of this, that abiotic factors do affect the environment. So when we talked about the sun and the soil down here is all affecting the tadpoles, the frogs, the snails, the fish, the plants, and although they are non-living, they do have an impact on the living parts of the ecosystem, which are our biotic factors. Biotic factors include all living organisms present in the environment. So if you could see over here, we talk about plants. Animals over here, we have a range of squirrels, fish, crabs, I think that's a snake. And we can have also bacterium. Bacterium, although small and we can't see it with the naked eye, is very important in an environment and in our ecosystem. So this is bacterium. And also fungi. So a lot of you know them as mushrooms. So these fungi. All of those are living organisms that interact with the ecosystem as a whole. And so as we talked about in that picture once again, everything is affecting each other. So these bacterium are going to affect this fungi, which will in turn probably affect plant life. And as we know, plant life affects a lot of animals. And the nutrition for animals, some of it comes from other animals. So all of these factors and how they interconnect create, along with these abiotic factors as well, create an ecosystem. And so for your group project, you are to pick 2 of any of these ecosystems in this list, and you are required to create a presentation. You have complete free range of what you pick. You can do a PowerPoint, you could do a movie, you could do a museum walk, you could do a poster, anything that you want to present this information. And I will have a list of requirements of things you need to include about these 2 ecosystems. And what I want from you is, I already picked your groups, and what you will do with your groups. So with your groups, you're going to research in the library and the computer lab. I've labeled out time for both. You're going to research the different factors, abiotic and biotic, that affect your specific ecosystems. And like I said, you have to pick 2. You could pick the deserts, prairies and savannas, aquatic. And aquatic, you could pick any of these, and so the ocean would count as 1. A stream would count as 1 ecosystem. River, another ecosystem. Coral reefs, another system, and estuaries, another ecosystem. However, you cannot pick oceans and streams as your 2 ecosystems. You could pick 1 aquatic ecosystem and then 1 of the other ones. So a Arctic tundra, or a forest, or the tropical rainforest. And so you could pick any of these 2, and there may be some overlap, but there will not be more than 2 of each ecosystem, because then we're going to get repetitive presentations.